Alright guys, it's a super windy day, but I made a promise that I would move around and read to you guys in different spaces. And I'm coming to you inside our sheep pen. That is, sitting down is Maggie May, the goat, with her two babies that are twins, one boy, one girl. And then there's a sheep right there, and the sheep's baby right there. I don't know their names. But, yeah, and I'm sitting in like kind of a dirty pen right now, but it's protected from the wind a little. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear me. We are on chapter number 4, and here we go. The Ho-Ho Wizard. One day when Peter and Molly ran down to see Chingy, the pixie, in the playroom, they found him reading a letter and groaning loudly. "What's the matter, Chingy?" said the children in surprise. "Oh, I've had a letter from my cousin Gobo," said Chingy. "Gobo says that my village is very unhappy because a wizard has come to live there," said Ho-Ho. Nope, called Nope. This is harder to read right here. Gobo says that my village is very unhappy because a wizard named Ho-Ho has come to live there. He's a horrible fellow and walks about saying ho-ho all the time, catching little pixies to help him in his magic and putting all kinds of spells on anyone that goes against him. I feel very unhappy." "Oh, Chingy, we're so sorry," said the children at once. "Can we help?" "I don't think so," said Chingy sadly, "but I would very much like to go off in the wishing chair to my village next time it grows wings, if you don't mind." "Of course," said the children. Then Molly cried out in delight and pointed to the magic chair. "Look, it's growing its wings." "How lovely. It must have heard what we said." "We'll all go," said Peter, feeling excited to think that another adventure had just begun. "Oh no," said Chingy at once. "I'd better go alone. The wizard is a horrible one. He might quite well catch us, as you are clever children, and then think how dreadful I would feel." "I don't care," said Peter. "We're coming." He and Molly went to the chair and sat firmly down on it. Chingy went and sat down too, squeezing in between the two. "You are such nice children," he said. The chair creaked, and before it could fly off, the pixie cried out loudly, "Go to the village of Apple Pie." It flew slowly out of the door, flapping its red wings. The children were used to it flying off in the magic chair now, but they were just as excited as ever. The village of Apple Pie! How exciting that sounded! It didn't take them long to get there. The chair put them down in the middle of a village street, and at once they were surrounded by an excited crowd of pixies who shook hands with them and asked them 100 questions. He talked at the top of his voice, explaining who the children were and why they had come. Then suddenly there was a great silence, and everyone turned pale. The Ho-Ho Wizard was coming down the street. He was a little fellow with a long flowing cloak that swirled about as he walked and showed its bright golden lining. On his head he wore a round tight cap with silver bells that tinked loudly. He wore 3 pairs of glasses on his long nose and a beard that hung in 3 pieces down to his waist. He really was a strange-looking fellow. "Ho, ho," he said as he came near the pixies. What have we here, visitors? And bless us all, this is a wishing chair, as sure as dogs have tails." Well, well, well. Nobody said anything at all. The wizard prodded the chair with a long stick and then turned to the children. "Ho, ho," he said, blinking at them through his pairs of glasses. "Ho, ho, you have such a magic chair. Please come have a cup of cocoa with me this morning, and I will buy your chair from you." "Oh, but we don't want to sell it," began Peter at once. The wizard turned round on them, and from his eyes there came what looked like real sparks. He was very angry. "How dare you refuse me anything?" he cried. "I will turn you into a—" "We will come in a half hour," stammered Chingy, pushing Peter behind him. This boy did not understand how important you are, Sir Wizard. "Brrr," said the wizard, and stalked off, his cloak flying about him. "Now what are we going to do?" said Peter, in dismay. "Can't we get into the chair and fly off, Chingy? Do let's." "No, no, no, don't," cried all the pixies at once. "If you do, Ho-Ho will punish the whole village, and that will be terrible. Stay here and help us. Come to my cousin Gobo's cottage and let's think," said Chingy. So the two children went with him and Gobo, who was really very like Chingy, to a little crooked cottage at the end of the village. It was beautifully clean and neat, and the children sat down to eat coconut cakes and drink lemonade. Everyone was rather quiet. Then Peter's eyes began to twinkle, and he leaned over to Gobo. "I say, Gobo, have you by any chance got a spell to put people to sleep?" "Of course," said Gobo, puzzled. "But why?" "Well, I have a plan," said Peter. "What about putting old Hobo to sleep?" "What's the use of that?" said Chingy and Gobo. "Well, when he's asleep, we'll pop him into the magic chair, take him off somewhere, and leave him, and then go back home ourselves," said Peter. "That would get rid of him for you, wouldn't it?" "My goodness, that is a great idea," cried Chingy, jumping up out of his seat in excitement. "Gobo, if only we could do it. Listen, where's the sleepy spell?" "Here," said Gobo, opening a drawer and taking out a tiny pillow, a tiny yellow thing like a mustard seed. "Well, Peter has a bag of chocolate," said Chingy, "and he could put the sleepy spell into one of them and give it to Ho-Ho." "But how do you know he'd take the right chocolate?" asked Molly. "Well, we'll empty out all of them except one," answered Chingy, "and that one Peter shall carry in the bag in his hand, and he must carry it as though something was precious indeed. And Ho-Ho is sure to ask him what it is, and when Peter says it's a very special chocolate and that he isn't going to get part with it or something like that, the old wizard is sure to be greedy enough to take it from him and eat it, and then he will fall asleep." This is a long chapter. "And we will take him off in the chair to old Dame Tap Tap, who will be so pleased to have him. He once tried to turn her into a ladybird." That means the ladybug. "So I don't think she will let him go in a hurry." "Good idea," cried everyone, and Gobo danced around the room so excited that he fell over a coal scuttle and set the fire irons clanking to the floor. That made them all laugh, and they felt so excited that they could hardly empty out Peter's bag of chocolates on the table to choose one for the sleepy spell. They chose a chocolate with that was violet on top because it looked so grand. Peter made a little hole in it and popped in the spell. Then he left the rest of the chocolates with Gobo, who said he would enjoy them very much, put the violet one into the bag, and went off to get the wishing chair with the others. It was still standing in the marketplace. It had red wings hanging down, for it was tired. Chingy and Peter thought they might as well carry it to Ho-Ho's cottage, which was only over the next street. So off they went, taking it on their shoulders. Ho-Ho was waiting for them, his wily face watching from the window. He opened the door, and they all went in with the chair. "I see you have brought me the chair," said Ho-Ho. "Very sensible of you. Now sit down and have a cup of cocoa." He poured out some very thin cocoa for them, made without any milk, and looked at them sharply. He at once saw that Peter was holding something carefully in his hand, which he did not even put down when he was drinking his cocoa. There's the picture. "What have you got in your hand?" he asked. "Something I want to keep," said Peter at once. "Show me," the wizard said eagerly. "No," said Peter. "Show me," ordered the wizard angrily. Peter pretended to be frightened, and at once he put the paper bag on the table. The wizard took it and opened it. He took out the chocolate. "Ho, ho, the finest chocolate I've ever seen," he said, and licked it to see what it tasted like. "Don't eat it! Please don't eat it!" cried Peter at once, pretending to be upset. "It's mine!" "Well, now it's mine," said the wizard, and he popped it into his mouth and chewed it up. And no sooner had he swallowed it than his head began to nod, his eyes closed, and he snored like 20 pigs grunting. imagery. The spell has worked! The spell has worked! Cried Peter, jumping up in excitement. Now, Peter, there's no time to jump and yell, said Chinky hurriedly. The spell may stop at any time, and we don't want to wake up the wizard till we've got him to Dame Tap Tap's. Help me put him into the chair. Between them, they dumped the sleeping wizard into the chair. Then Molly sat on one arm, Peter sat on the other, and Chinky sat right on top of the back. To Dame Tap Tap's, he cried. At once the wishing chair flapped its idle wings, flew out the door, and up into the air, cheered by all the pixies in the village. What a thrill that was! In about 5 minutes, the chair flew downwards again to a small cottage set right on the top of the windy hill. It was Dame Tap Tap's home. The chair flew down to her front door, outside which there was a wooden bench. The three of them pulled the snoring wizard out of the chair and put him on the bench. Then Chinky took hold of the knocker and banged it hard 4 times. Rat-tat-tat-tat! He yelled at the top of his voice, Dame Tap Tap, here's a present for you. Then he and the children bundled into the wishing chair, and off they flew into the air, leaning over to see the old dame crying out in astonishment and delight when she opened the door and found the wizard, Ho-Ho, sleeping outside. What a shock for him when he wakes up, said Chinky with a grin. Well, children, many, many thanks for your help. You've saved Apple Pie Village from a very nasty fellow. It will be nice to think of him dusting Dame Tap Tap's kitchen and getting water for her from the well. I guess she'll make him work hard. Ho, ho, roared the children as the chair flew down to their playroom. Perhaps the wizard won't say ho, ho quite so much with Dame Tap Tap. No, he might get in trouble if he did, grinned Chinky. Well, here we are. See you tomorrow, children. And that is the end of that chapter. Okay, we're not gonna, you don't have to write anything in your journals, but I thought I would show you this cool setup that they have. So there's the sheep, and then I'm in this little sheep house. That's where I was. And up there, you can see the new places. That's the new chicken shed, and there's tables, and it's pretty awesome. All right. And there's some chickens right there. You see them? Hiding. All right, guys. Be kind to your families, and I will see you soon.